Welcome. Thank you for joining me today in the Setting Goals You Actually Want to Achieve class. I hope you have had a chance to get your workbook downloaded. If not, I do encourage you to do that before you finish watching this recording today. I do want to make sure that you have a pen and paper handy because we will be taking a lot of notes today. Okay. So did you know that there is at least 10 different techniques that I know of for you to set your goals? There's so many options, right? So the thing is, now when you set your goals, you want to make sure you do what works best for you. And what I find is when it comes to setting your goals, if you definitely know these techniques, it's I think more beneficial for you to really combine them and kind of pick and choose the ones that suit you the best. I have my door open, so sorry, normally that doesn't happen. So really I just want you to, take these techniques and kind of pick and choose what you want, so you can apply what works best for you. So a couple of the techniques we're gonna go over. The first one, the smarter for me, I think a lot of people are really familiar with that. That's the one we're gonna go a little bit more into detail today. Then there's hard goals, which is heartfelt, animated, required, difficult. There's WOOP goals, wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. OKR, which is objectives and key results. That one's more beneficial for larger groups in business when you have like KPIs and things you have to follow. There's micro goals, which is breaking your larger goals into smaller goals. I use that one a lot. I find it's really helpful. Then there's backwards goals. You have values-based goals. One word goals, which this really helps you when you are stuck and you need to remember why you started your goal when things get difficult, because things won't always be easy and it is going to get difficult. So those one word goals really, they're there to help you connect with your why, which is something we're going to go over in our Best You class. If you were able to catch that, we did go over some exercises that's really going to help you today. So if you haven't had a chance to catch that recording, I definitely suggest you do that. Then there's the Lock and Latham's 5 principles, which is clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and task complexity. Now, also there's visual goals, which when we go to make the dream book, this is really going to be beneficial to have kind of like an outline. So it really gives you the pictures of what you want and why you're trying to achieve what you want. So the most important thing when it comes to your goals is that they really need to move you toward action. And, the best way to make sure of that, I'm glad you asked, is you want to make sure it's measurable. So a goal that says, I just want to be relaxed is very vague. It's not very detailed. Now, if you want to stop overreacting at your kids on the way to school, that is very detailed, and you can definitely measure that and see from where you started to where you ended up. Can you take action? A goal that depends on something or someone else to do something first before you can do that goal is not a goal. That's not something that you want to do. A goal needs to be completely in your control. So you also want to make sure that it's reasonable. If you're a woman in your mid-60s, maybe a little bit overweight, I don't care how good of a tennis player you are, but you're not going to be Serena Williams. So you want to make sure that you are setting a challenging goal, but it's not so difficult that you're never going to be able to achieve it. Another really important thing is when you're going to do a buy. I find that when people tend to set goals, they never give themselves a time frame. They never say, I'm going to do this by this date. And then they spend their whole lives trying to figure out how to finish their goals, and they don't understand why. You have to give yourself a deadline. It's so important. And also too, like if you want to make, say, for example, $250,000, if you set a time frame of 6 months and you don't have the skills or anything set up for you to make that kind of money, that's not really something that is going to be feasible. So you want to make sure that what you're doing within the time frame of what you're doing it is doable. It's still good to make it challenging. However, you want to make sure that you can still achieve it. So it's also kind of like saying when you want to lose weight, losing 20 pounds in a month, where yes, it is doable, it's not healthy, and you're going to gain the weight back anyway, probably more. So that's not something that you want to do. So you want to make sure it's really important that when you are setting these goals with these time frames, depending on, what segment of your life or what category of your life you're trying to set the goal for, it's going to be attainable and it's healthy for you. It's not something that's going to cause you more stress from doing the goal. So that's really important. Now, the last thing, like I mentioned, if you did catch the Being the Best You class, motivation. So the motivation for your goal, and like I mentioned, those one-word goals, this is really important. So this is what's going to make you want to jump out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and finish your goals, or start working on your goals and do it before you go to work, and then stay up late when you get done from work. You don't want to spend 8 hours working for somebody else and then not come home and work on yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice by doing that. So what I want to encourage us to do now is we are actually going to do a little bit of a brain dump. So I'm going to have you stop this recording, and I want you to dump everything that you want to do for your goals onto a piece of paper. And I'm not just talking career, professional, money, like I'm talking your relationships, people with your family. Maybe you want to do more things that light you up. Maybe you don't like how stressed and anxious you are, so you want to set a goal to, help you overcome those hurdles. So I want you to go ahead and shut off this recording and do a little brain dump and get all of your goals out on paper. So if you haven't already stopped the recording, I definitely suggest you do that now. Okay, I hope you had a great time writing down all of your goals and everything that you are hoping to achieve. What I really want you to do now is go ahead and take a moment and number those goals for importance. So as soon as you do that, right, we're going to talk about our top 3. So take a moment now and go ahead and number those goals pretty quickly. Shouldn't take you very long. Not that you're not going to work on the rest of those goals, but what I find is that when you try to do too many, you can't really focus. And I have a saying, one too many. So then you try to do too many changes at once and you find that you might fail. Kind of like when you're going to exercise and you want to exercise, you want to diet, you want to throw out all the food in the house. Maybe you want to intermittent fast and you're trying to do all of these changes when in reality you were starting from a diet of, maybe some really processed foods, maybe you drink alcohol, maybe you do a lot of these things, and that's a lot of changes. Removing alcohol, removing sugar, removing processed foods, like right there, that's just 3. Too much. So if you find that one of your important goals is really big, what you can do is break it into micro goals. And a good way to do that actually is to work backwards. So I know I mentioned one of the techniques is backwards goals. So it's working from the final goal all the way till now. So basically you're going to say, okay, this is the finished goal. This is what it looks like when I reached my goal. And then you're going to go to the step right before that and you're going to write that down. And then you're going to go to the step, okay, well before, that has to happen, I need to make sure that happens. And then you're going to work backwards. So then that way you kind of have a outline of what you need to do before you reach that goal. So it's actually really pretty helpful, especially when you've got those bigger goals. Also, the brain dump exercises, if you find that you are not sure what you need to actually do to complete that goal, it's important that, maybe you do a brain dump. You can also do a little bit of research and get, all the information regarding that goal as to what you need to do. the most important thing is that you know what you want. It doesn't matter how you get there. Initially, you just need to know what you want, right? Because then you can research it. So then you can go, and that's can be a first goal, is research. So you'll find that we tend to make goals really vague, and then you want to make it really difficult. So it's really important to try to make it as easy as you can, so that way you will complete the goal in the end. So get as much as information you can about the goal. Research, what do you need to complete the goal? There's also in the bonus worksheet, the 5 W's can help that. This can help you when you go to work backwards. Identify and create options. So what's really important here is, especially when you think that you don't have any options, because maybe your goal isn't professional based. Maybe your goal is, has something to do with your mindset and, feeling stressed out all the time. So you might believe that you don't have any options. So this is where it's important to kind of create your own options. So you can, this is where the brain dump, again, comes in handy. It doesn't matter. It can be the most simple. It can be the most complicated. At this point, you just want to kind of entertain all ideas and how many options you might have. Don't shoot anything down. That's really important because we tend to do that. It might be the craziest idea that is actually the one that helps you reach your goal. Now, you can also enroll friends. So if you're not sure that maybe you hit a roadblock, maybe you hit a wall, you're not sure, what other options you might have, involve some friends to see if they can help you and give some outside perspective and some ideas on what they could do. But in the end, you want to make sure that you make the decision yourself. And then you can weigh the pros and cons and see what's good, what's bad. Maybe you want to quit your job. Like maybe you want to turn your side hustle into your main profession and become an entrepreneur, but you have to make sure that side hustle matches the income of your current profession. So you really have to do the pros and cons. You've got to do the research. You have to find out what you have to do in order to get to that goal. So that is also something that is really important. And then in the end, the final thing is you have to trust yourself. You have to believe that you can do it. I feel that belief is going to give you a lot of the results that you are really looking for. And something that's really important, it's not just saying words and writing it on paper. Like, you genuinely have to align your mind and your heart and saying, this is exactly what I want. This is when I'm going to get it. And then you just go. You jump. Like I said, it doesn't really matter how you're going to get there. You just have to believe that is what you want in the end. The universe is going to catch you. It always does. And one thing that's really important to remember, in the end, it's always going to be okay. If it's not okay, it's not the end. It's really important to kind of some things I like to tell myself. So with that in mind, and you have your top 3, what we're going to do with the Smarter For Me goals is I'm going to have you take a moment. We're going to turn off the recording. And I'm going to have you write out some statements for your top 3 goals in regards to the Smarter For Me. So you'll notice on the little sheet, we are missing the ER on Smarter. So that is something I want to make sure I add in there. So when it comes to writing out the statement, you want to make sure that it's specific. You have specific goals. You know exactly what you want to achieve. It's measurable. It is essential to make sure that you can measure your goals so you know that you're progressing. Is it attainable? It's totally about believing that you can actually achieve it. Like I said, belief, that's what's going to get you there. Is it relevant? Is it realistic? Are your goals? Do you have resources, money, and skills? Like, can you actually achieve that goal in the end? Do you have a deadline, time bound? Do you have a deadline for that goal? Once you reach that deadline, you evaluate, right? Did you make it? Did you reach that goal? And then this is where a readjust comes in. Do you need to readjust? What steps can you take to make some changes to help you get closer to that goal? Then there's For Me. So you want to make sure you can focus. This is where values-based goals really kind of come in handy. Say, for example, you want to stop coming late to work. You're habitually late. However, responsibility is very important for you. So something that you can do is you can say to yourself, well, I'm setting a goal to get to work on time because my value is responsibility, and it's not responsible for me to show up late to work every day. So it's important for you to focus on those goals. And when you have something that's value-based and really means something to you, it makes it easier for you to focus on those goals. So also it's important you don't commit to too many. Optimism. Write down your goals in a positive way so that you'll be more up to achieve them. So one thing we do as humans, you'll notice with our language, is we use some really negative language. And really when you use those words are like mantras, they're like magic. So when you speak about yourself negatively, you're going to believe it. So when you speak about your goals negatively, and then so maybe you speak outwardly that, oh, I'm going to achieve this goal, but inwardly you're thinking to yourself, yeah, right, I'm never going to be able to achieve that. You're right. You're never going to achieve it because that's what you're saying on the inside. So that's also where that optimism and the belief kind of comes in. So are you ready? Are you ready to start working on your goals right now? Can you take action right now? After this recording and you write all of this down, there should be one thing that you can do to take a step closer to those goals. Is it meaningful? Does it add to your life's purpose? I know when we were in the Road to Self-Care class, we're talking about, why we're here. Why are we on this planet? Why do you want the things that you want? So you want to make sure it means something to you, because if you just want to make a lot of money to make a lot of money and there's really no purpose behind it, you're probably not going to make a lot of money. Is it exciting? Do your goals excite you at the end of the day? Is it something that genuinely makes you want to get out of bed? Because honestly, if you just want to change your diet because everybody else is telling you that you have bad eating habits, but you don't believe it in the end, you're never going to do it. And it's not exciting for you. So you want to make sure that it is something that you love. It ignites that spark inside of you that it genuinely would make you want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to bed at midnight. So for example, writing out this statement before I have you turn this recording off. So this is kind of what I mean by writing out a statement for your goals following the Smarter for Me. So I will increase my typing speed of 50 words per minute to 65 words per minute within the time frame of 3 months. I will set aside 15 minutes each day to practice and take speed tests that are timed to measure my progress. So you see it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant to the actions that you're going to take, and it's measurable. I said that already. Okay, so go ahead and pause, and I want you to go ahead and write out those 3 statements. So if you haven't already, pause the tape. Go. Make sure it's paused. Okay, I hope you had a chance to write down some really great statements for those goals. That is actually going to wrap everything up today. I just want to thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you really, after this tape, have a second to take a step towards your goals. It's really important, that action, that momentum, that's what is going to keep you going. So also, there is one more page in your workbook that is, I really want you to kind of do before the next goal setting class. So when it comes to those top 3 goals, they're just some questions that you can kind of write down in your journal, or something that you can really ponder to help you move towards those goals. So what is holding you back from completing your goals? What can you do to overcome that fear? And how will this help you to achieve your goals? So it is the page in the workbook. So if you haven't had a chance, make sure you get that downloaded. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you to make a dream book. Bye.